Okay, so I'm not really quite sure how I'm going to bring this together, but let's just talk about a few things, put some ideas out there for you to think on. Okay, so I think of power as a steady stream. It's constantly flowing, it doesn't end, and it exists not just on paper, but in the people alive at the time. And power is sort of passed on from one generation to the next generation. And that constant power can only be repealed by the source from which the power comes. This goes back to that which you create, you control, that the slave cannot become the master, that the tenant cannot become the landlord. And the source are all the people. We know here in America, America gets its power from the states. The states gets its power from the people, and the military gets its power from the states. So you have the people, the states collectively as the United States of America, and then the United States of America has a national military called the United States. So the source of power flows constantly and steadily like a stream, generation after generation, not from pieces of paper, but from the people. It doesn't come from the states. It doesn't come from the military, and it doesn't come from the feds. It comes from the people. Only the source, since that's where power comes from, all of this, once we stop the power from flowing, they lose their power because it was repealed by the source. The source can repeal its creation. Can a state repeal the people or the people's power? No, it gets its power from the people. Can a national military repeal the states or the confederation? No, because without the states, there's no national United States military. You cannot repeal or replace the thing that is the source from which your existence comes, from the source from which your power comes. The United States cannot repeal the United States of America, since the United States are the states and the states created the United States. This is called elliptical power. You cannot repeal the thing that created you. You cannot repeal the power that gave you your power. There's no power given to the United States to repeal the power that created it and gave it its power. There's no way to give someone power to repeal the power to grant you your power. If a power to repeal is exercised by a thing, it voids the power it has to repeal the thing in the first place, since it lacks the power to do it. It cannot repeal its creator, because if you repeal the higher power, the power over you, you repeal yourself. If you repeal yourself, you repeal your power to have the power to do the thing. So if I give you a power, and your power comes from me, and it's steadily flowing from me to you, how can you repeal me? Repealing me repeals you, because you get your power from me. So if you get your power from me, then you repeal me, then there's no power for you to have in the first place, and you don't have the power to repeal, because repealing me took away all of your power. Your power comes from me, you repeal me, then you repeal yourself. So if the people made the people repeal the states. The states do not repeal the people, because the state gets its power from the people. If the states come together and form a confederation called the United States of America, only the states can repeal the power it gave to the United States of America. If the United States of America gives some of its power to the United States cannot repeal the United States of America because it gets its power from the United States of America. And in repealing the United States of America, the United States ends or repeals itself. The United States cannot repeal individual states because the individual states create the United States of America, which created the United States. So repealing individual states also repeals the Confederation. The Confederation gives the military its power, and so the military, the United States, cannot repeal the thing from which its power comes. So when the United States Constitution was written, it was said to have repealed or replaced the state constitutions, but that could not be so because the states created the United States of America. The United States of America created the United States. And if the United States tries to repeal the state constitutions, it's repealing the Confederation. And the Confederation is the power that created the United States. So you see, we're in an elliptical situation. The same can be said about the power to repeal the right of the writ of habeas corpus. It can only be done in certain situations. So this says, let's see, it's Session 2, 39th Congress, Chapter 152 and 153 from 1867. Chapter C, L, I, that's 153. An act to provide for the more efficient government of the rebel states. Okay, so here it sounds like we're saying the United States is going to institute its military in the states to take over the states, to take over the thing that created it, essentially repealing the power of the states to force it back into the Union. And to me, this created an elliptical situation where they didn't have the power to do it. But what they did was they had a bunch of states, the rebels or the non-slave states take over the slave states. And when some of the states left the Confederacy, they were just forced right back in. And to me, it appears as though there was no power to force a state into a union because the Articles of Confederation itself says each state shall remain free, sovereign, and independent with all rights, powers, and jurisdictions not given to the United States and Congress assembled. And there was no power in the Articles of Confederation or the United States Constitution to force a state back into its union. But that seems to be what they did to Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, Florida, Texas, and Arkansas. And whereas it is necessary that peace and good order should be enforced in all states until loyal and Republican state governments can be legally established. So to me, it sounds kind of nice on paper, but how can you force a state to be loyal if the states are created by the people and the people want to leave the union and the power comes from the people and it flows day after day, minute after minute, year after year, generation after generation in reality, not just on paper? um, how does it assume to have a power to force its source of power to do something that it doesn't want to do? Okay, so it's basically might makes right, which is anti-freedom. So be it enacted by the Senate and House of Representatives of the United States of America and Congress assembled. So this is the other states, the non-slave states, using its military to force rebel states back into the Confederation. The said rebel states shall be divided into military districts and made subject to the military authority of the United States. Now, see, it says the military authority of the United States because the United States of America has no military authority. The United States has the military authority under the president when he's acting as the commander in chief of the United States Army and Navy, and the militia when called into actual service of the United States. The militia is never called into service of the United States of America. The militia is each state, but the national military is loyal to the United States of America. But it's in service, it's given its orders, takes its orders from the United States or the commander in chief. The commander in chief gives orders to the next lower officers, and then they give those orders to the next lower officers until it reaches the troops, and then the troops go and do the thing. Okay, so just some information on power and how there's an elliptical situation that occurs when a power tries to destroy the thing that created it, and how when a power tries to destroy the thing that created it, it's an elliptical situation because you can't destroy the thing from where your power comes, because then you destroy your power to destroy the thing that made you. All right, so something to think about as far as powers destroying the things that created it, and how the United States is created by the states. The states are created by individual states, or the Confederation is created by individual states, and states are created by people.